Hello, my people. Good day to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whatever time zone you're listening to this, thank you for tuning in every single day to listen to me on Daily Mind Shift. My name is Michael Ojola for Mindset Transformation Africa. And in today's episode, I want us to talk about triggers and patterns. Let me anchor today's episode on this statement. Your triggers don't lie. They reveal your patterns. Your triggers don't lie. They only reveal your patterns. That is what I want us to shift our mind around today. Now, this one's going to get a little bit personal because triggers live in personal places. They hide behind your smiles, polite words, and professional titles, but they are there. But make no mistakes at all. Your triggers know you better than your friends do. And that is a point that I want you to take to heart. They point not to what people are doing wrong, but to what inside what inside you still needs healing. Triggers do not only point to what people in your life are doing wrong, right, or what you yourself are doing wrong, but they point to what inside you still needs healing. So let's talk a little bit about that today. When something triggers you, let me just ask you this: what is actually happening? It is not the event that is causing the reaction, okay? It is the meaning that you've attached to the event. You see, a trigger is a mirror. It reflects the story you've been carrying, the tone of voice, the comment, the silence. They all poke a memory you thought you buried. A trigger is your emotional fingerprint, okay? It shows where you've been, what shaped you, and what you are still carrying. But most people don't see it that way at all. They treat triggers like enemies. They avoid people who push their buttons, not realizing that the real work is not to remove the button pushers, but to understand the buttons itself. If you avoid every person or place that triggers you, you're not becoming more peaceful. No, you are becoming more fragile. Because triggers don't just show up to irritate you, they show up to instruct you. You need to understand that. Let me be clear. Triggers are not about people. It's not about them. Triggers are about you. When someone says something that offends you, the offense doesn't live in their words. It lives in your interpretation of their words. You cannot control what they said, but you can control what their words awoke in you. Here's a truth most people resist. Your triggers tell the truth about your patterns. If rejection, for example, triggers you deeply, it is because you've built a pattern of needing external validation. If criticism stings you, it is because you've built a pattern of equating feedback with failure. If silence from someone you care about makes you anxious, it is because your mind equates silence with abandonment. That is not judgment. That is just a diagnosis, all right? Your triggers reveal where your self-concept needs strengthening. They are emotional reports, and you can either read them or rip them up. See, every trigger is a teacher that is disguised as tension. When you feel that surge, that heat in your chest, that tightening in your throat, pause before reacting. That is the moment of awareness most people waste. They react instead of reflect. But that is like slamming a door on your best teacher because they knock too loudly. Here's the thing. If you start studying your triggers instead of defending them, you will start learning your habits of thought. You will see the patterns you keep repeating. You will discover how your emotions have been driving your choices, not your logic. Your triggers are clues, all right? They say, pay attention here. You are leaking peace in this area. You've given this situation too much power. The emotional pain you feel is not punishment, my people. It is information. It is data. If you treat your triggers as data and not drama, they will guide you towards deeper emotional intelligence. Now, here's the path that stings. You will never outgrow what you refuse to outlearn. You will never outgrow what you refuse to outlearn. triggers persist because patterns persist, and patterns persist because beliefs persist. If you want to stop reacting the same way to the same people, you've got to go beneath the reaction and ask yourself this: what belief does this reaction protect? Maybe your trigger protects a belief that you must always be right to be respected. Maybe it protects a belief that love must be earned through performance. Or maybe it protects the belief that being vulnerable makes you weak. See, every trigger is connected to a belief, and every belief is connected to a story you've told yourself over time. See, if you don't rewrite that story, you will keep replaying that same emotional movie over and over and over again. Different characters, same script. Here's a practical way to start decoding your triggers, my people. Whenever you feel triggered, pause and ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, what exactly am I feeling right now? Number 2, what story am I telling myself that is fueling this feeling? And number 3, is that story true or is just familiar? What exactly am I feeling right now? Don't rush this. Is it anger, shame, embarrassment, fear, or sadness? Naming that emotion is the first step in disarming it. Then, what story am I telling myself that is fueling this feeling? You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how often it is not what happened that hurts. It is what you told yourself it meant. For instance, they did not reply. You interpreted it to mean that you are not important. They criticized you. You interpreted it to mean that you're a failure. They ignored your effort. And then you start telling yourself that, oh, I will never be enough. And then the third one, is that story true or is that story just familiar? Because the mind loves what is familiar, all right, not necessarily what is true. Many people live by emotional scripts written in their childhood. So they keep reacting to adult situations with childlike wounds. See, by walking through these 3 questions, you shift from being a victim of your triggers to being a student of your triggers. Your life leaves emotional footprint. It's important for you to hear that. Every reaction you repeat forms a pattern, and every pattern points to a mindset. I want you to look closely, and you will notice your emotional patterns, that they are incredibly consistent. You get defensive with authority. You withdraw when you are misunderstood. You chase approval when you feel insecure. You over-explain when you feel being judged or when you fear being judged. Patterns are predictable because they are practiced over time. And what you practice emotionally becomes who you are mentally. If you ever want to transform your life, stop asking, why does this keep happening to me? And start asking, why do I keep responding to it the same way over and over again? The event might not be in your control, my friends, but your pattern is in your control. Your freedom doesn't begin when the trigger disappears. No, it begins when the pattern breaks. See, awareness is your first form of emotional maturity. You cannot change what you are not aware of. The moment you see your pattern, you start to interrupt it. For example, let's say someone at work challenges your idea and your instinct is to shut down. If you pause and say, wait, this is that old avoidance pattern showing up again, you've already weakened its power. That is the power of awareness. Awareness doesn't make the feeling disappear immediately, but it stops the feeling from running your life unconsciously. Awareness doesn't fix everything, my friend, but it just puts you back in charge of whatever it is that you are feeling. See, healing begins where honesty begins. When you can say, yes, I keep reacting this way and I'm ready to understand why, you've already started to shift. Healing doesn't always mean the triggers disappear. No, sometimes it means your relationship with it changes. The same situation that once made you panic might now make you pause. The same words that once made you angry might now make you analyze. That is progress. That is emotional maturity. The goal is not to become untriggered. No, it is to become unmoved by the trigger. That is when you know you are healing, and that is when what used to control you now simply inform you. This is the mind shift I want you to go with today. Stop treating your triggers as interruptions. Start treating them as revelations. So, next time you are triggered, instead of asking, here we go again, Or instead of saying, here we go again, say, here is another opportunity for me to grow. That single mind shift will turn your pain into